Hello, creeps. Creepy Thursday podcast is where you can share your creepy experiences, mapatagalog or English man yan. Share mo lang sa Creepy Thursday subreddit or you can send stories via form. You can check out the links to the description. Welcome to the second episode of Creepy Thursdays. I'm Baskhav, your host. So, how are you, creeps? Ano ba mga pinagkakaabalahan nyo these days? Me, nothing much. Pero I am trying to look for a new hobby na hindi masyadong mahirap mag-commit. I'm not sure if a hobby like that exists. Pero habang wala pa, binge watching na lang muna ng mga series or movies. Do you have recommendations? Like, maybe same ng Exuma? Like, hindi siya yung typical na horror na may white lady. Or hindi masyadong katulad ng Conjuring or Insidious. If you do have, please comment down below. Anyway, for this episode, we have 4 short stories. And our first story is from a subreddit Philippines, unfortunately, from a deleted account. My boyfriend, Rafi, and I were in Baguio together with 2 of our friends, Faye and Wally, also in a relationship. We were driving along South Drive when Wally suddenly turned all the lights inside the car on. At that moment, I knew something was very wrong. My stomach churned, and my heart started beating really fast. I closed my eyes and told myself, ano ba? Stop being paranoid. After giving myself a quick pep talk, I opened my eyes and immediately started crying silently when I saw the reflection of someone sitting behind my boyfriend on my side of the window. I was shaking and crying, but still, since I thought he'd be in some sort of danger, the only thing I could think of was to swap seats with him. And so I did. I wiped my tears away and inched closer towards him. Can we swap seats? I whispered. Huh? Bakit? He asked, clearly worried. But I couldn't actually tell him that something bad was going on. I feel uncomfortable with all this space. Pwede bang dyan ako sa left side near the window and then just sit really close to me? I lied. After we switched seats, he held my hand close to him and I tried my best not to look at the rearview mirror. But I couldn't help it. I did. The woman that was sitting behind us was still there. And I've never told them this part. But she looked at me dead in the eyes through the rearview mirror. I was terrified that I tightened my grip on Rafi's hand and I started audibly breathing, like when I'm about to get a panic attack. What's going on? Faye asked. I was about to answer her, but then I realized this question is not directed at me but to her boyfriend, Wally. He gave her nothing. Hey, what's wrong? She asked again, worried. Finally, I look up to see him doing the sign of the cross. I didn't pray with him. I just closed my eyes and waited, telling myself, it'll all be over, don't worry, she'll leave. A few moments after muttered prayers and silent cries, the air around us started to feel lighter, and thus I opened my eyes. And Wally turned the lights off. Okay, what's going on? I know something's wrong. You don't just pray out of the blue. Faye asked curiously. Wally and I cross-referenced whatever we saw and felt during the last few minutes of our hitchhiker's short stay. And until now, I never looked at the rearview mirror again unless the driver asked me something and he wants to have eye contact through the mirror. Ooh. Ang dami paranormal experiences sa Baguio, no? Actually, gusto ko bumalik. Try lang magstay sa teacher's camp. Kasi mahilig ako sa ghost hunting videos. And if you're familiar with Shane and Ryan. I've been watching them since BuzzFeed. Ngayon, watcher na sila. You should watch them as well. And Zarkaru. Hanggang ngayon, hinihintay ko pa rin yung new upload mo. Asa na? Charot. Take your time. Well, ayun nga. Nakapunta na ako ng teacher's camp, pero parang dater lang. Wala naman ako na-experience na kakaiba actually. Pero one time, binisita namin yung relatives namin. They live in like an ancestral house. There's an eerie vibe sa house, lalo na it's really, really old. Tapos, may pinakita silang video. Nasa lumang video recorder pa siya. So, may isang bata na nakikipagtaguan. Parang nakikipagtaguan sa kanila. So, meron silang isang huge plant sa stairs. Tapos, biglang may sumilip na bata. Yun lang. As in, kita mo talaga na bata, pero hindi mo siya mamumukaan. Parang pa-silhouette na siya. So if you have encounters like this, you're on a road trip or staying at a hotel and experience something creepy, share nyo naman. Disclaimer lang, we're not in any way sinisiraan ang kahit anong establishments, businesses, universities, or schools na ma-mention sa mga stories na i-share natin. Our next story is from subreddit Philippines, posted by user OctoElephant22. Yakal Residence Hall, UP Diliman, 2004 or 2005. One of my friends at dorm was using my desktop one night. Nakikikwarto as usual. I'm changing into my pambahay, so I opened my closet. Then she laughed. Kasyang-kasya ka pala dyan. Mocking my height. Then she suddenly stopped laughing, looked at me weird, slammed my closet door, and went back to typing like nothing happened. I asked what that was about and she wouldn't tell me. I insisted. But she looked scared and it made me scared too. Tinawag pa namin yung isa pa naming dormmate before niya ikwento. She told our dormmate what she saw in Kapampangan. They're from Pampanga and Tarlac, and I only understood the dead woman part. I'm from Bulacan and had friends and classmates na Kapampangan, so medyo naiintindihan ko. Later on, I learned that she actually saw my image, lifeless and hanging inside the closet. We asked the Victory Fellowship girls at dorm to help us pray. We were all holding hands in a circle in my room. They asked my friend to pray kasi she's the one who had the vision. And nahiya pa siya when she said she doesn't pray to Jesus kasi Muslim siya. They prayed na sana hindi siya premonition, that it's not a vision of what might happen to me in the future. Days after that, not from the dorm, just someone who goes to the same church in Katipunan, from Victory Fellowship, talked to one of the girls from that night. He said he had a vision about Yakal, and since he knew she was from there, he wanted to tell her what he saw. He said that 2 nights ago, same night the incident happened, he had a vision of a group of girls forming a circle and that there was a bright light in the middle. Then in the end, Yakal Residence Hall flashed in his mind. I can never forget that moment because years later, I would still have terrible nightmares about some woman. Na minsan, instead of matakot, naiinis na ako because she keeps coming back in my dreams. Well, I hope hindi na nagpapakita yung woman sa dreams ni poster. Because this story was 7 years ago. So siguro naman napagod na yung babae, diba? Well, on to our next story from subreddit Casual PH, posted by user Valentina Soleil. This happened 3 years ago. We have this requirement for our intro to film course kung saan kailangan namin mag-shoot ng short film. Me and my group mates have decided na horror film yung gawin para maiba yung genre namin from other groups. Bale, ang napagkasunduan naming story is about a nun who worships the devil. So in order to make the film look organic, we've all agreed na sa totoong church i-shoot ang film. Fast forward to the day of the shoot. Umaga pa lang, sinimulan na namin mag-shoot para matapos na lahat ng outer scene that requires daylight. Everything seemed normal naman. Wala namang nakakatakot na feeling at all. As in, normal talaga lahat until pumatak ng 10 p.m. at kailangan na naming mag-shoot sa loob mismo ng church. Bago namin simulang i-shoot yung scene sa loob ng church, nagdasal muna kami kasi bukod sa nakakatakot yung gagawing scene, may iba ring nararamdaman yung mga klase kong may third eye. Pumuwesto kami sa aisle ng church, sa pinakagitna. Nakapabilog kami at magkakahawa kamay na nagdasal that time. While praying, napansin namin ng katabi ko na nakatingin sa pagitan namin yung isa naming kaklase na may third eye. Sobrang namumutla siya. And kami naman ng katabi ko, nararamdaman namin na parang bumibigat yung balikat namin kaya humigpit na yung hawak niya sa kamay ko. Natatakot kami but we chose to end the prayer calmly. Nung natapos kami mag-pray, nag-proceed na kami sa kanya-kanya naming task and dun nagtanong yung kaklase namin may third eye sa iba pa naming mga kasama na may third eye kung nakita din ba nila yung nakita niya habang nagdadasal kami. Sumagot sila na nakita nga din nila. Kinwento nila sa aming mga walang third eye ay yung nakita nila and sabi nila, may mga sumama sa ating magdasal. And sobrang kinalabutan nung sinabi nila yon, lalo na nung dinescribe nila yung nakita nilang mga sumama sa amin. Ang pagkakadescribe nila sa pagitan namin ng katabi ko, babaeng nakatahi ang bibig. Tapos nakangiti. If my memory serves me right, bukod daw doon sa babaeng may tahi ang bibig, meron pang isang sumama sa aming magdasal pero hindi na dinescribe ang itsura niya. Tapos meron ding iba pa na nasa loob habang nandun kami. Yun na yung naging signal for us na wag ituloy ang shoot sa loob ng church. Kaya lumabas na kami at humanap na lang ng lugar sa labas kung saan pwedeng gawin yung scene na yun. Kahit na takot kami, sinubukan pa rin namin tapusin yung shoot. By 12 midnight, we've decided na umuwi na. Nakasakay kaming lahat sa inargala naming van and isa-isa naming hinatid lahat ng nakasama sa shoot. Isa sa mga naunang maihatid is yung isa sa mga kasama naming may third eye. Hindi nagtagal after niya makababa ng van, nag-text siya sa isa naming kasama. Sabi niya sa text, may sumama din daw sa amin pa uwi at nasa loob pa ng van. The girl at my window. I'm from the Philippines, 28 female. This happened years ago while I was in grade school, and it still spooks me when I think about it. I used to live in Dasmariñas Village, Makati, and studied in Colegio de San Agustin, and I used to walk to school every morning. The house we were renting was pretty old and kinda creepy. It had a huge mahogany tree and a balete tree in the backyard. Those who have studied in CSA or lived in that village know how big the trees are there. Our neighbors who have lived in the area for years would tell us stories about how enchanted and scary the place is, and that we should be careful with disrespecting the big tree we had in our backyard. But I remember there were times I would wake up with caked up mud on my blankets and thought it was me getting into the bed with dirty feet. But I always took a shower before bedtime so I don't have to in the morning. I didn't think much about it, to be honest. I didn't really understand any of it. I was busy surviving grade school. I had a best friend who I met in the first grade and we were close all throughout grade school. Let's call her M. She was just like me. We loved manga, anime, and would draw stuff for each other. She was obsessed with the idea of werewolves and vampires and the moon, and how they changed during the night. She would tell me that she was a werewolf and she would go hunting at night and wake up thinking it was all just a dream. Typical things kids would make up. I thought it was kind of cool and how good she was with illustrating that kind of imagination on paper. The other kids would think she was weird because she'd hiss and growl at them if they started messing with her, while I, on the other hand, would defend her. I remember one time during lunch, we were drawing and she left to buy something, so I thought I browsed through her sketchbook, and it was really cool until I landed on one page of a girl in bed, sleeping, and a werewolf climbing into her bedroom through the window. At first, it kind of bothered me that something looked familiar in that picture, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Until I flipped the page and my eyes widened, not because of the werewolf standing over the sleeping girl in bed, but because how I realized that it was my room. And I swear, I've never invited her to my place before. My mom is very strict, and I wasn't allowed to have any friends over or hang out with friends outside of school. She got everything right, from the dodgy bed frame to the old stained white lamp on my bedside table, the old K-Zone magazine stacked up under my bed. Then it hit me when my eyes was looking at the bed sheets and the mud from the werewolf's feet soiling the bed. I didn't realize how fast my heart was pumping until she turned up behind me and asked, "Do you like it?" I turned around to face her and she had this dead look in her eyes and a grin that gave me chills. I played it cool and asked who the girl was, and she said, "It's you, dummy. Don't you recognize your room?" And I didn't say a word and just look at her. Then she continued to ask me, "You remember when I told you I would transform into a werewolf that night? Sometimes I would go to your house just so I could see you." I was too stunned to speak. Like, what the fuck? This isn't real. I didn't talk to her after that and brushed it off until I moved to another school the next year and moved out of the house. That's when I would read on Filipino folklore about aswangs. And I told my mom about it and she got mad at me because it freaked her out, and that I should have told her back then about M. Well, yeah, that's my scary story that I wanted to share with you all. That is so weird and scary that someone's watching you while sleeping. Napaisip tuloy ako, hindi ba nagsasarado ng bintana sa poster? Or maybe, hindi lang nagsasara ng curtain sa poster. Kasi, may mga ganon. Before na-try ko na yun, para yung liwanag ng moon, yun na lang yung light sa gabi. Yun nga lang, exposed ka. Actually, I'm into vampire stories then. Sometimes I watch documentaries about their origins. I watch vampire movies, pero not to the point na I would claim I'm a vampire and would act or pretend like one. But it's interesting to see or hear people now would get so immersed in their interest to the point na sinasaboy nila. Like this one is a creepy and a good story, and you, yes you, if you have stories like this that you want to share, you can post it on Creepy Thursday subreddit, or you can send it by form. The link is in the description. Alright. Ow. Yes. That is it for our second episode. This has been Baskhav. Maraming salamat for listening. If you want to hear more stories, please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and share your thoughts in the comment section. See you on the next episode. Bye, creeps.